let's talk about some jQuery stuff, right? Let's make a simple jQuery project and kind of go over it and as a review of what you guys did yesterday. Okay, so starting from scratch, just make a folder. We're just going to call it oops, demo. Open up Atom. I'm going to drag this guy in here. All right. So in here, we're just going to make a new file. We're going to call it index.html. And then once it's HTML, we can start typing HTML. It'll autocomplete all that stuff. This is jQuery day 2. And over here, we're just going to write all of our scripts stuff here. Okay. Now, what is the first thing that I need if I want jQuery to work? Well, before that, yeah, we need to have jQuery code in our project, right? So you can either do that via the CDN, the Content Distribution Network, that link that Google gives, or you can download it and just link it to that JavaScript file, right? It works the same way. So what the CDN is just like there's some code on the internet, and you make the link, and it'll go to the link and get the code and put it on the page. That's all it does, right? So for simplicity, let's go ahead and search jQuery CDN Google. Right, so here we go. Hosted libraries. That there's Angular, we want jQuery. So let's go ahead and use jQuery 3. So we're just going to copy that script tag. We're going to put it on top, right? We need to have this guy before we write any jQuery code. Question? Well, I think it's better to download it because if you're going to deploy your website, then you're not relying on this one to work. Because Google might decide that, hey, version 3.2.1, I don't like that version. I'm just going to not have that, right? And it's going to be like 3.2.2 or something. Then your website will break if Google decides to no longer support that link. So you're kind of dependent on others to make your website work. But if you just download it, it's just going to be supplied by your server. So it.
When they change on their website, if they change the version, do they reflect different functions that's not no longer available, or does it always refer to that?
I'm not sure. I mean, jQuery updates often, so they'll just add on to the newer versions and not change the previous ones. But at some point, they're going to have to like delete the previous ones, right? If they decide to do that. Google might not, but you never know, right? So, and also, if you're working on your own computer developing, you're relying on the internet for this file to work. If you already download it, then you can just not have internet and it'll still run on the local machine, right? So this just goes to the internet to get that file. Yeah, question. How do I link it if I download it? All right, let's take a look at that. Not jQuery UI. I just want jQuery. Download jQuery. It's literally just a JavaScript file, right? So we're gonna download. We're just gonna download this one. Right, we're just going to put this file, literally it's a .javascript file, we're going to put it in our folder that we made for this demo. Right, so that's the folder. We see that it's in here, right? Look at that, that's jQuery. And the reason why it's looking like that is because it's minified, right? So you see jQuery.min.js, right? So minifying code just makes it run a little faster. It's not humanly readable. It's mainly used for production. So if you're like launching this website, your JavaScript doesn't need to be readable. It just needs to work fast. So you minify it. That's why we have all those semicolons, right? Because once it minifies, how do I know that something is done, with a line? I have to, the code actually looks for the semicolon, and then that's like, okay, that's a new thing, okay? So that's why it's important to have those little semicolons in there. But once we have this, we can simply just make a script tag. And then we're gonna just put the source of the script tag equals to whatever this name was, right? So I'm just gonna rename this file, just jq, right? Just to make it easy. So over here I can say jq, like that, right? So we can we're never gonna be editing this guy. We're not gonna be editing that guy. So now I have jQuery loaded up. Now we can start writing our jQuery stuff in here. Now, yeah, it's a .js file. Oh, right, yeah. Good catch. Okay, so now that it's linked, and we want to see if it is indeed linked, right? So we're going to write some jQuery files here. Before we do that, let's go ahead and drag this file into our browser. We're just going to drag the index into the browser. We're going to open up the inspect element, go to console. This is where we're going to see all the good stuff happen, right? Let's make it a little smaller, like half and half. There we go. Okay, so if I do alert, something like hi, I should see that it's going to alert me stuff when I refresh the page. Now, for jQuery to work, we know that we need the document.ready, right? So document.ready, inside of the function call, we're going to write a callback, and that's just making a function an argument, passing into another function. Function, and then we're going to write all of our stuff in between this guy. Right? So now, if we refresh the page and it alerts us, that means jQuery is working. Okay, so jQuery is indeed working. So this guy, this thing did its job. If you don't have this, then it won't know what the $ means, right? So let's take a look. Uncaught reference here, $ is not defined. That's a jQuery thing. If you don't have jQuery, then it'll give you that error. But we do have jQuery, so we're going to write all of our stuff inside of the document.ready. Okay, let's take a look at what we're going to cover. Okay, we're going to make a jQuery project, document.ready, event handlers. Okay, so what jQuery does, it lets you interact with the elements inside of your HTML, right? So in order for us to interact with them, we need to have the elements first. So let's go ahead and make, let's say, an image tag, and we're going to say, hey, let's make this image like this image that I found earlier. So here, let's move this down. We're going to drag this image into our file. And now we have this image in our project. So we're going to make the source this image here. Okay, so now if we reload our page, it's going to alert us hi, and then the image will show up. Wow. Right? That's a little too big, right? That's the full size of the image. Maybe we want to make it a little smaller. Now, just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to write my style tag right here. Right? Not a recommended thing. I should probably divide it into a separate file, but just for the demo, I'm going to have the style tag here, and I'm going to say, for all of the images, make yourself have a width of, say, let's do 100 pixels. And I want you to be display inline block, and I want you to have a margin all around of 25 pixels, like that. Okay, so now let's take a look at our Doge. Yay, there we go. Maybe we can make it 200. Yeah. So now we can go ahead and make some more of these guys. Just gonna copy that. Whoa. Let's make one more. So we have 5 of these doges now, right? What we want to do is when we click on any one of these guys, we want the thing that we clicked on to disappear, right? So that's what jQuery does. One of the exercises, disappearing ninjas, right? We're just going to do disappearing doges. All right, so we're going to have to assign an event handler, right, to handle the event of the thing being clicked, right? So in jQuery, we do event handlers with the $sign and the selector. We select the thing first, right? So we need to select image, all of the images, right? And the way you select things in jQuery is the same thing you do in CSS. It's a dot for classes, it's a hashtag for IDs, nothing in front if you want to just do the tags, right? So we're targeting all of the image tags now. So image tag dot click, and here we're going to write the callback function to do the thing when it's clicked, right? So this, whatever is in between this curly braces here, is going to happen when I click on the doge, right? So just to show that it works, and this is always good practice in the beginning when you're kind of like, you know, kind of testing the waters to see if this line of code actually does what it's supposed to do, right? So we're just going to alert doge. And if we click on any of these guys and they alert me, then we know that it's working, right? So it's hooked up. The event handler is handling the event of the click. So now that we know that this is working, what do we want to do to the images? We want to hide the images, right? So we can say, in order to hide something, we need to first tell jQuery the selector of the thing that we're hiding. So same thing, we're going to select, what are we selecting? Image, right? And we're going to do .hide to hide it, like that. So now let's take a look. If we click on the doge, oh, it all hides. Everything hides. Because the selector is selecting every single image tag, right? If we want to only hide the thing that we click on, there's a keyword called this. Now, this is just the object or whatever it is that you clicked on, that thing that you clicked on, right? So even though all of these guys are images, I didn't click on all of them. I only clicked on one of them. So I clicked on the this that I'm clicking on, right? So if you click on it, only the thing that I click on will disappear. Okay, so now it looks pretty good, right? But let's say you know, just to go over above and beyond, if I click on things, it just everything else moves into that the place where the thing was hidden, right? Let's say I want to hide it, but keep the area that it's occupying, right? So if that's the case, we can't use .hide. What can we do? Let's see. If it slides up or slides down, yeah, I mean, I think slide, yeah, it'll still disappear, right? If it works, yeah. So it's still gone. What we want to do is we want to still have it there, so we can't do anything like that. But we can either give it opacity of 0, we can either give it visibility of hidden. These are CSS properties. Okay, so we need to give it some CSS. That's the idea, right? So we're gonna do add class here, right? We're gonna add class. Or, I mean, we can even do this. We can say CSS. I believe this is a jQuery thing. In here, we're going to tell it the CSS that we're going to give it. So let's say visibility hidden. That. So now let's see. Okay, didn't work. Maybe we need to do that? No.
I think you delete the.
With the separated with a comma?
Yeah.
Oh, like here? Like a comma there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put both of them in quotation.
Ah, okay. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, there we go. Right? Cool. Let's see. Event handlers, this, make it disappear. Good. All right, so that was kind of the overview of yesterday. There's so many things in jQuery, like I can't remember all of them, right? I haven't really used it in a while, but it's something that as you use over time, you're going to get more familiar with how the syntax works, and then as you get familiar with it, it's going to be a more and more powerful tool for you to like just make it quick and dirty, like edit the DOM, right? So let's take a look at what the DOM is. Like in the very first day, we did the HTML and the request response cycle, right? So we talked about the DOM, the document object model. For a web page, the DOM consists of this, the HTML object. It contains the head, all of these tags. These are just objects, right? So for us to kind of visualize that, let's go ahead and let's console log document. What does that do? Let's take a look. Boom. We got document here, and if we open it down, we see that, hey, we have HTML, and then we have head, we have body, and then inside of here we have all these crazy tags, right? So that is the document. Whoa. What?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have the document object model. It's an object, right? The object contains all of these tags, these special HTML objects, right? Using JavaScript and jQuery, we manipulate these objects. We change their properties. We make them do functions. We give them classes and stuff like that. So using JavaScript, we interface with the DOM. Okay, so we can do things to the DOM. We can also add things to the DOM, right? We can take things away from the DOM, just like with the .hide. It took it away. We can add things to it by adding new HTML. So we're just adding to the DOM. Okay? So today, the main focus of the lecture is dynamic content, right? So what we mean by that, static versus dynamic content, is that static content is something that we hard code into our DOM, and when we refresh the page, it's there when we first load up the page. So it's static, right? It doesn't move. Dynamic content is the content that we add later on. Once the page is loaded and we want to click this button to add another Doge, then that's dynamic content, right? So let's say we have, let's say here we have a div, and we're gonna give this div an ID of new. Okay, so right now there's nothing in there. This is static content. We're gonna generate some dynamic content and we're gonna put it in that div. All right, so let's have a button. Let's have a button on top over here, and we'll just say button. We're gonna say click me. Okay, so we're gonna add an event handler to that button. All right, so we're gonna say for all of the buttons, when I click on you, I want you to add some stuff, add some HTML to the DOM, like that. Okay, and we're just going to add another image of the Doge. Okay, so we have this guy, ID of new. So we can say, hey, when the button is clicked, I will select the ID of new, and I'm going to add some HTML. Right? What HTML I'm going to add? I'm going to add an image tag, or rather, I can just copy this. This is what I'm going to add. Okay. Now, notice that we have these double quotes and double quotes. It's messing things up, so we got to change this to single quotes. Right? So everything is a string now. Okay. This one is single quotes as well. We can put single quotes inside of double quotes, and it won't mess up. It won't think it's two separate strings. All right. let's take a look at if this works. I hope it works. Maybe it won't. But okay, click me. Yeah. See? We added another thing here when it was clicked. Right? So just to kind of illustrate that. Boom. We dynamically generated this content. Okay? So these are all image tags. Right? We click on it, they disappear. Because we have the event handler of the image. That's what does that disappearing thing. Now, if we generate things, when we click on it, it doesn't work. Right? I'm clicking on this. It doesn't hide. But these guys work. Right? So the reason why it doesn't work when I click on the dynamic content, but it does when I click on the static content, is because at the time that I assigned this event handler, the new Doge does not exist in my DOM. Right? So when the document is ready, that means that everything has loaded up. Right? So at this point, right here, document ready. Right? So everything that I have here now, I can apply the event handlers in the jQuery code. But this guy was added afterwards, after it was ready. So the event handlers were already applied. I added some new content, so it wasn't applied to that new content. That's why when I click on the new one, it doesn't hide it. Right? So that's why we need something called document.on. Okay? So instead of assigning the event handlers to all of the images on ready, we're going to assign the event handlers on document.on. Right? Document.on. We're going to put it in there. Okay, so now this, click on it, it doesn't work. Wait a minute. Why doesn't this work? That works. Is it the wrong syntax? Let's look it up. Let's look at the jQuery document.on. There we go. Okay. So we need to give it the thing, we need to give it the event handler that we're looking at, right? So, and then we do the callback function. So this one, it's not image.click. It's, let's see. Yeah. So it's going to be document.on, and then it's going to be the selector, which is going to be selector. Okay. So we're going to write this guy. Yeah, so let's get back to where we were before. So this is where we were before. And we're going to say, instead of .click, we're going to do .on. And then the first thing is going to be click. And then the second thing is the callback. Right? So like this one. Click, and then the callback function. Right. Cool. Let's take a look at it. Oops. Yeah, so that works. Make a new thing. It doesn't work. Let's go ahead and look at the platform. All right. Apologize for this delay. Okay, jQuery, advanced jQuery, using .on. There we go. All right. Document.on, click, button. Okay. So that's how you use it. Right. So it's like this. So for document.on, it doesn't work like document.ready, but rather you have to define a bunch of things, right? So we say document.on, the thing that we want to do, click, the thing that we want to click on, which is the image, and then we want to do the stuff to that thing, right? So here, we're just going to put this hide thing in the middle here. Right? So we're going to get rid of that. So document.on, click, image, the selector, this is the action, and then the callback function to do the work. Okay, so you look, okay, it's working for the static content. Click on it, it works for dynamic content. Okay, so the document.on, what it does is it says that if as soon as you exist, put this event handler on you. So as soon as I click on the button and generate this new image tag, document.on will know that this image tag was generated, so it's going to add the event handler dynamically to newly generated dynamic content, right? So jQuery syntax, it's a little weird, but it takes some getting used to. Just know that the difference between the static and dynamic content is that if you have dynamic content and you want to assign events to it, you need to do this syntax and use document.on so that it gives the newly created stuff its functionality. Okay? Questions? Cool. Let's see what else we got. I think that was it. Does it work? It didn't work, but we made it work. Document.on. Okay? So, just to show you guys that, it doesn't, this stuff, sometimes it won't work, and you're like, why doesn't it work? So you got to look it up. You're going to Google it. And if all else fails, we go to the old reliable, to the platform, right? That's where all the good stuff is, right? So, yeah, once you guys get to this point, you'll be able to read all this stuff. Nice little video here, and you can finish all the assignments, right? So that was pretty